Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farming, it's all good. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy. Organic, natural, conventional. What do all these terms mean when it comes to your food? It's time to get ready for cutting your lawn, and some rural communities are creating their own brand for local foods. Welcome back everyone. We're in Eastern Virginia at a fruit and vegetable farm, and I know we're all looking forward to spring after the winter we've had and the fresh fruits and vegetables that will be available from farms like this one. But as Dave Miller reports, there are all different ways to produce these crops and supporters for each one.
Organic, natural, conventional, all are terms used to describe a style and method of farming. Farmers know what they're doing, but how do consumers sort out the labels? Roughly, conventional farming means using commercial fertilizers and crop protectants. Natural farming means using those products only when necessary, and certified organic farming is a strict standard that requires growers to avoid all man-made chemical controls. And some growers follow organic methods but are not certified because of the expense of complying. Each method has its supporters among consumers. For most growers, it's a question of which production method works best for them.
We had always grown the garden without pesticides and chemical fertilizers, and it just seemed to be a natural step to pursue commercial farming that way. And I think over time, just by encouraging beneficial insects and soil biology, some of the issues that you might have with pests and diseases to some extent are controlled by natural processes.
High volume was not how the Latneys intended to make money with their farm. Earning the organic designation gives them a marketing advantage by adding value right from the farm. And smaller scale farming seems to suit this family's personality better.
I don't quite see the two, organic and conventional agriculture, as being sort of polar opposites. What we're seeing at markets is that organic is having sort of an expanded demand, and it's been that way now for many years.
Well, right now we've got a little bit of everything. We've got our early broccoli and cauliflower, a little bit of kale, kohlrabi, and a lot of different types of salads and head lettuces. We've been starting to do a little bit of microgreens, which is new this year, as well as we've started peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, some of the later stuff.
Many growers are using greenhouses like the Latneys to get a jump on the spring growing season. The Latneys have also added a large packing shed to wash and prepare the CSA foods for market. Another way local food producers are cashing in.
CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and essentially what it is we do a local one, we do one in Fredericksburg and also up in Falls Church, and we deliver boxes of vegetables each week, roughly from May to about Thanksgiving, to families or whoever would like a weekly delivery of vegetables.
I think it just helps us from a marketing standpoint. It certainly suits us as sort of a growing or an expanding small farm operation. We've expanded every year and now we've got 20 acres that are certified organic. There's a grain grower here in Westmoreland County that is certified organic and is farming, I think, thousands of acres between here and Fredericksburg.
Whatever the production method, farm families like the Latneys share the same values. This is more than a job to them.
I love being out here. It's the freedom. It's working with my family. It's being part of a family farm that stretches back for generations, and making that farm support, the family.
And that means all methods of farming can survive and thrive for decades to come. From Westmoreland County, I'm Dave Miller reporting.
Westmoreland County, along the banks of the Potomac River, is in the heart of Virginia grain country. The top crops here are corn, soybeans, wheat, and barley. But there's also a thriving vegetable production base here, generating $1.5 million for farmers each year. There are almost 2,000 head of beef cattle and a couple of chicken houses, plus some goats, horses, and ponies on the county's 171 farms. 64,000 acres of land is devoted to farming. Altogether, agriculture contributes more than $25 million to the economy of Westmoreland County, Virginia.
Hi, I'm Chris Mullins, and today we're going to be talking about your spring lawn from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
I feel that family farms are very important because it's not just a living or occupation, it's a way of life. We live, work, and play right here in one location.
The grandchildren are around, and as often as they can, they'll come and say, "Grandma, can I help?"
There's a lot of challenges, but by having to be a family operation, it makes it all more enjoyable.
This is what I do. It's my livelihood. I enjoy doing it. This is my hobby. It's my vocation. It's a wonderful place to enjoy life with my wife, my children, and grandchildren.
We're putting out a product for other people to drink and consume. We hope they like milk and cheese and ice cream and butter and all those good things.
What I've always done is what I enjoy doing. It's what I hope my family will continue to do in the future.
I'm Gerald Heatwell.
I'm Anita Heatwell,
I'm Monty Heatwell,
and I'm dedicated to dairy, our cows, our milk, and our land.
It's time to dig out your lawnmowers again and get ready for fresh, lush green lawn season. But if your front lawn isn't looking all that hot, Chris Mullins has some suggestions on how you can improve it from the ground up.
Well, hi, today we're going to be talking about spring lawn care and some mower tips. If you look behind me, you'll see a large lawnmower of sorts. Many of you don't have anything like that, but most of you do have something like this. This is a typical push mower, and if you've got a larger yard, you might have a riding lawnmower. And as it's getting warm now and the grass is starting to grow, it's fun to think about getting out there and mowing the lawn. But there's some things we need to think about as far as maintenance for these lawnmowers and some of the things that we need to do. Let's look at the blade on this one, for example. Let me first disconnect the spark plug, and we've positioned this so that the gas is not going to leak out. But let's turn it over just like we would if we were going to change the lawnmower blades or sharpen them. And this is one of the things that you need to think about doing in early spring, if you haven't done it in the fall, is sharpen the lawnmower blades. Now this blade is a little bit older, and it's not very sharp right now. So this would be a good candidate to sharpen for your spring mowing. And it's kind of easy to do. You can wedge this or clamp this and take this blade off. And if you've got a grinder, a benchtop grinder, you could sharpen this very easily. This could also be sharpened on the mower with a file or a portable grinder. Now, if you don't feel real comfortable with grinding, you could take this to your local small engine repair shop or machine shop, and they'll sharpen it for you. And it's important to have a sharp blade. If your blade is dull and you're trying to mow the grass with that, it's not going to do a great job. You're going to be breaking the grass and shredding it, and eventually that's going to cause problems in the lawn, and you're going to get an overall brown appearance to the lawn. So you want a sharp blade, you want to be able to have a nice clean cut. And you want to do this at the beginning of the growing season. And if you've got a large lawn and you cut a lot, it's wet and the grass is growing quite a bit, you might even need to sharpen the blades in the middle of the season. So that's one thing that you need to do. And in general, there's some other maintenance tips that you need to do, possibly tune-ups, changing the oil. But if you consult your manual, the manufacturers of mowers are pretty good at letting you know at what intervals to do some of these things. And as we think about the mowers, in the fall is a good time to do things like getting the gas out of the lawnmower so it won't go bad sitting there and it won't eat away at the hoses and things like that. So as you're thinking about your lawn for the spring, one of the things that people think about most is trying to get fertilizer out there and really green that grass up. I would encourage you not to do that. Really, the fall is the best time to put fertilizer down and reseed, and you want to do that then. The problem with putting fertilizer down, or high nitrogen fertilizers especially, in the spring, early spring, is because you get a lot of excess growth on that grass and you don't get a lot of good root development, which you need to make it through the summers in Virginia. So resist that temptation. If you have to top dress, do that a little bit later on after the grass is getting established, so later springtime. I think that's going to give you a better lawn overall. So we're here on a farm, and this grass that you see here is not typical of something you'd want in your lawn or your landscape, but this is mowed with bush hogs and things. It's ground cover to keep runoff from happening. But when you're thinking about your lawn, you need to think about a couple things, and one of them is grass height. How high do you normally cut that grass? How high do you let it grow? You know, most of you are going to be growing cool season grasses like tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass, and those do best when they're going to be about 2.5 to 3 inches tall. At that point, they kind of shade out some of the weed seeds that are trying to germinate, and overall you're keeping a lot of photosynthetic area up there to make food for the plant. Now you can adjust that on mowers like this one. They're going to have an adjustment point on all 4 wheels, and they're going to let you move the whole cutting deck up and down and adjust that height perfectly. And again, though, keep it up there 2.5, 3.5 inches is going to do really well for your lawn. And you don't want to cut more than about 1/3 of the grass blade height at one time. This can be detrimental to the grass. So we know about grass height now. So how often do you mow your grass? Most people mow the grass about once a week or once every 10 days. Well, think about this. The grass is growing the most in the spring and the fall. And in those times, you might not do it on a set schedule. You might have to mow it maybe every 5 days. But then in the summertime, as you get less rain and it's drier and the grass is not growing, you're going to be mowing it less. Well, some of these things hopefully will help you have a successful spring lawn. For more information about lawnmower maintenance and spring lawn care, please contact your local county extension office. Next month, we're going to be talking about vegetable container gardening. From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
Kendra Bailey Morris has a terrific recipe using fresh spring asparagus when we come back in the heart of the home. It's asparagus season, and as Kendra Bailey Morris shows us, there's more than one way to prepare this vegetable. How about using pasta and goat cheese in the heart of the home?
Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris, and welcome to the Heart of the Home. Today we're going to be making a really easy recipe, and it just breathes spring to me. This is a roasted asparagus pasta with goat cheese and a little bit of lemon zest, and we're going to be using Virginia-grown asparagus today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by roasting this, but before I roast it, I'm just going to cut it into pieces because this is actually going to go into the pasta. I love roasted asparagus just on its own. It's a really, really simple way to serve asparagus at home. Just go ahead, and I'm about to do it now, toss it with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, put it in a 400-degree oven, and roast it until it's nice and crispy, but not too overcooked. And you obviously don't need to parboil this ahead of time or steam it ahead of time. It will actually fully cook in the oven. And I'm going to take some olive oil. And when you're doing the roasted asparagus, it's really important to use a quality olive oil. So get a nice extra virgin olive oil, a couple of tablespoons there, depending on how much asparagus you have. And I'm obviously going to take some salt, kosher salt, sea salt, I recommend definitely, freshly ground pepper. So I'm just going to spread these out nice and flat here. And this is going to go in a 400-degree oven, and since I'm going to be tossing this again with some pasta in a pan, which is obviously going to be heated, I'm going to just cook them enough to get them a little bit cooked, almost like al dente. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Meanwhile, what I've got here is some farfalle pasta. If you can't find farfalle, you can use a penne. That's the small penne, or the large penne is also really nice as well. I've already cooked this pasta, and what I've done is I've just boiled it in some salted water, and I've cooked it probably just until it's to the tooth, which is al dente. So this is not fully cooked, and as we cook our asparagus, you'll see when we come back, we're going to toss all this together in a hot pan. By that time, it should cook all the way through. I've cooked this ahead of time, which you can do if you want to. If you do that, make sure you toss it with a little bit of olive oil just to keep the pieces separated, little pieces of pasta, or otherwise by the next day it'll be clumped together. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking my asparagus, and when we come back, we'll assemble our pasta dish. We'll be right back. Okay, so our asparagus is done. I'm going to take it out of the oven. And you can see that it's just kind of wilted and cooked, but it's not overcooked. There's a little bit of caramelization there, which I think is really nice. Meanwhile, I have a pan, preheated, a large pan, and I've already cooked my pasta, as I mentioned before. And what we're going to do now is just add some aromatics to this. So we're going to add some fresh thyme, and we're going to add a little bit of lemon zest to this. And I really love the flavor of the lemon zest. It goes really nice with asparagus, obviously great with pasta as well. So I'm just going to take some of the leaves off of these stems of fresh thyme. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and add some extra virgin olive oil, about a 1/4 cup or so, to my pan. And this is going to be the base for the pasta. See, it's starting to shimmer a little bit, which is what we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and throw my thyme directly into that oil, because that's what we're doing really, is flavoring the oil. And then I'm going to go ahead and zest some of this lemon in there. Not too much, but enough just to infiltrate that extra virgin olive oil. It's going to be really nice. I'm going to cook this for really about 30 seconds, maybe a minute at tops. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my asparagus back in. This is why we par cooked it. We didn't cook it too much, because we're going to cook it a little bit more, and we don't want it to be wilty and too soft. That's not good. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta back in. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and add my goat cheese, and I've got about 8 ounces or so. And don't worry, this is going to come out in clumps, but it's going to melt. And this is softened goat cheese. Don't pull it. I recommend not pulling it straight out of the fridge and putting it in your pasta, because it's going to be too hard and it's not going to melt properly. And you want all of this to come together kind of at the right time. A little bit of salt. Obviously, freshly ground pepper. I like a lot of freshly ground pepper in this dish. And I'm just going to cook this for about another minute, minute and a half, and then we'll assemble our dish. Okay, so this is starting to come together real nicely. I'm just going to add a little bit of reserved pasta water. And you just want to add enough just to kind of give it a little bit of a silky sheen here. You don't want it to be watery, but you don't want it to be too thick either. And obviously goat cheese is soft, but it can be rather dense, so you want to find a good balance there. And the reason that I'm going ahead and cutting the heat off completely, or if you need to, you can also just take it off the burner, is because you don't want to overcook that pasta. This pasta is probably cooked about 2 to 3 minutes less than it should have been, and before I put it in the pan. So you want to make sure you don't get it soft. Al dente, always with pasta, it gives it a nice to the tooth kind of texture. All right, and I'm going to bring my pan over, and I'm just going to pour this in. There we go. It's looking really nice. All right, and so now I'm just going to go ahead and put some on the plate here. This is fresh and delicious. Again, I just see this as such a wonderful spring recipe. It's surprisingly light, even though you have all of that goat cheese in it. You'd be shocked. And a little bit more black pepper. I think pasta really benefits from that. Okay, so here we have it. This is a farfalle pasta, a bow tie pasta with roasted asparagus and fresh goat cheese. I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
Fresh asparagus is a treat that's usually available at farmers markets in Virginia by mid to late April. This unusual crop is a perennial plant, which means growers harvest the same plants for 15 to 20 years before they need to replant. When it's growing well, asparagus spears can grow from 6 to 12 inches in a day. This low-calorie vegetable has a unique flavor and is rich in nutrients like calcium, folate, iron, and B vitamins. If you'd like to raise asparagus yourself, you need plenty of sun and well-drained, deep sandy loam soil. It's usually best to buy asparagus crowns for your own garden, since starting from seed adds another year until they can be harvested. Virginia farmers are proud of the agricultural products they produce, so much so that many are starting to market their products by the region where they're locally grown. One community where farmers are taking their marketing to the next level is Bedford County, where consumers can easily find items that are Bedford grown. Building on the growing strength of local foods movement, county officials began cultivating a marketing plan to stress their local roots in 2007. A year ago, a branding campaign called Bedford Grown was launched to promote the many agriculture-related goods coming out of the area. Danny Johnson and his family operate Johnson's Orchard and Peaks of Otter Winery. He says the campaign has been very successful in marketing his unique fruit wines.
Well, I think it means a lot, not only to me, but to my customers. They know that they are getting something local then. And local is really gotten big. Everybody wants to buy local now. And I think we're getting a good following from doing this, really.
The Bedford Grown campaign includes a logo that can be placed on products or on the counters of local farmers markets. This unique identification has been a hit with consumers.
We have 1,400 farms in Bedford County, and many of them are selling direct to these farmers markets or selling to restaurants some of their products. We are just seeing really a growth in that area, and we wanted a way to kind of signify the pride that we have in what we grow and what we raise in Bedford County.
Agriculture is by far the leading industry in Bedford County. Farm sales in the county total more than $23 million and employ more than 3,000 people. The branding plan was simple. Give consumers a guarantee that the product they are buying is locally grown and that they are supporting local businesses.
It's a big difference in the quality. It's not just something people say. It truly is something different about the quality. It's grown locally. It's not shipped several hours. It's not frozen most of the time. It's directly to you by either your county or a neighboring county. And the producers have received it really well.
There is no fee for farmers to participate in the program and very little paperwork to fill out to register for the brand.
Locally grown is certainly a growing segment of our industry. It won't replace traditional or conventional commodity production, which is sort of the backbone of the ag industry here, but it certainly can enhance our efforts and give opportunities to individuals that are looking to grab more of the consumer dollar.
Bedford County's Board of Supervisors have been strong supporters of the local farming community, forming the Agriculture Economic Development Advisory Board 7 years ago. Currently, there are more than 34 local farms signed up under the marketing plan. Farmers in other communities across Virginia are considering similar branding efforts. For more information on Bedford Grown or to sign up, go to bedfordeconomicdevelopment.com. That's going to do it for this blustery edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us today to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer, whether it's from your home, your garden, or your landscape. We're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good month.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.